For the sports lovers out there who like to get their gamble on, whether it be on the NBA games, NFL, Major League Soccer, even National Hockey League, Major League Baseball, even college sports, go to BetUs.com to make that bet. If you use the promo code TKT for the Clown Times, you get up to 125% of the sign-up bonus, which is up to $2,500. Another perk you can see, you can bet on the go, which means you can bet anytime, anywhere on your mobile device. You get fast payouts, so you can get your payouts immediately every single time. Do not have to wait. And you can do live betting when you can bet during the game, whether it's early or the best lines, you can do it all. So anyway, please sign up for BetUs.com. Use the promo code TKT for the Clown Times. You'll be able to do so, right? Check out BetUs.com, where the game begins. Welcome to tonight's Monday night post-NBA Finals edition of the Clown Hour Podcast. I'm Scott Burks. Please check me out on my website at www.theclowntimes.net. No spaces, just all one word. You can find me on Facebook as well. So just type in the Clown Times. You'll find me there as well. Also, check me out on cafepress.com where you get this merch. And search for the Clown Times Sports. You'll find the merch there. In addition to that, you have sweatshirts, t-shirts, mouse pads. So anyway, you go there, you pretty much see the whole gamut of reasonable prices, and I have the link in the description below, and you find it there as well. And one last thing, please continue to like, comment, share, and subscribe. You got over 400 subscribers, which again, I've celebrated the small victories. So we're at 412 now. Want to get to over 1K by year's end. So I'm almost halfway to that goal. So I'm need y'all to help push us over the hump here. And that would be great for me. It'd be great for you as well. So if you want to be, if you're as petty as me, you want to put a smart ass comment, hey, I'll be a petty too. So it makes it all fun. We don't know everything, right? So anyway, please continue to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Then be all good. And hit the bell button to enable notifications. So whenever I put out new content, you'll get to see it and you get to comment on it if you want to. So I mentioned post-NBA Finals edition of the podcast. I got my two NBA bros back. You guys know them. Kevin McCune, representing the Cavaliers. And of course, the ever so bashful Jared Singleton is back in the house. So gentlemen, how you doing?
Doing good. I wore this on the show last year, your show last year, draft week, and Cavs got lucky and got Evan Mobley. So Jazz don't have a first round pick, so I don't know. There's a lot of guys that could be in the run for the pick at 14. So
Nice.
hoping lucky again, and turns out to be a good one.
So hey, is the draft tonight, or it's real tonight?
No, Thursday night.
Thursday. That's what I thought. It's Thursday. Okay, I don't know why I was thinking tonight. So I knew it's this week. So that'd be very interesting. So yeah, cool. So anyway, speaking of NBA Finals, I mean, it wasn't it wasn't as long as I was hoping and predicted. Hell, I picked the wrong winner. So props to the Golden State Warriors for showing this medal and showing some toughness and beating the Boston Celtics in 6. I thought that it became obvious after game 4 that Golden State was not only better, they were more experienced and they were smarter. And it showed with at the end of game 4, we'll start at the end of game 4 right quick, where Boston blew a 7-point lead, I think it was, with 7 minutes to change left to go in the game. And it ended up losing by, I think, 4, I think. And so I was thinking, oh, Boston just blew it. Actually, my exact words were, Boston blew it, right? Had the chance to go up 3-1, put a stranglehold in the series. But they headed back tied at 2-2. But then the telltale was game 5. Now, if you as a visiting team got the home team to do the following: shoot the ball very poorly, having superstar Steph Curry shoot 0 of 9 from 3. That's right, 0 of 9 from 3. Out-rebound them by almost 10. Go to the free throw line almost 3 times as much as far as attempts as the home team, which is unusual, especially in the playoffs, especially with a superstar like Steph Curry. and you still lose to them by 10. That's when I was like, oh, it's over. The series is over. It's because if you're Boston, how could you mentally rebound from that? I mean, have Golden State have its worst game, not only in the series, but arguably at the playoffs, aside from that 55-point beatdown at Memphis. But then losing by double digits like that, I'm like, it's just over. And then lo and behold, in game 6, after that quick start Boston had, Golden State said, you know what, let's just end this. We're the better team. We're the more experienced team. They're going to gag it up anyway, but let's just put the foot on the throat early, and they did. And you know, as they say, the rest was history. Stephen Curry picked up his first NBA Finals MVP award. Congrats to him. He's well deserved of that, well deserving. And you know, now Golden State's won 4 titles out of 8 years. So I mean, hell, I mean, people may be quick to point out the dynasty word, but hey, I mean, the fact that they won 4 and 6 out of 6 tries in 8 years, I mean, you got to give them some props there. So before we indulge more on that, you know, the question now is, and I heard this bitty bandied about all weekend, including this morning on sports shows. What does this do for Steph's legacy? So Kevin, I'll let you kick off with that right quick.
Yeah, I think it was cemented before this. I think that this just you know, puts more icing on it. He's obviously, you know, one of the best players all time. Probably
Right.
one of the best. I don't know where you want to put him, 5, 3, 2. The fans have differing opinions.
Right.
I would say being a quote unquote LeBron fanboy, sorry to bring him up. One side effect to that is I probably will lament later in life and regret not appreciating the Warriors to the extent that they probably deserve it, and not appreciating Steph to the extent that he deserves it, because I almost feel like, you know, I get mad about Steph fans comparing LeBron. So then I'm like, I hate Curry. But regardless of what I say on social media, in full sobriety, he's one of the greatest players of all time. You know, he's right up there with Magic Johnson, you know, 1A and 1B, however you want to rank them in terms of point guards, and honestly too, like just impact on the game. I mean, when as far as you look at you know, you could say Magic changed the game, you know, with his play style and what he was able to do. You could say
9-inch point guard, yeah.
Warren changed the game, but I think Steph changed the game. I mean, I watch college basketball.
Mm-hmm.
I said my brother-in-law gets a kick out of it every time some college kid shoots from nearly half court and it's a terrible shot. I always say, "Thank you, Steph Curry." Like, he changed the game because he was something that we had never seen before. You know, after Ray Allen retired, I wasn't sure. You know, I'm like, man, that guy, greatest 3-point shooter ever. But Steph leaves them all in the dust just as far as shooting and play style and what he's able to do. You know, look, when he came into the league, the Timberwolves passed on him twice because he was too skinny and too small. And you know, and you know, I think he offers a perfect you know, archetype to LeBron, in that, like, you look at LeBron as this 6'9", you know, looks like he's chiseled from rock, and then you have Curry, who is really the opposite of that, and they're really, you know, the 2 best players of this era. And so for him to accomplish what he's accomplished in all facets, from his body type to his play style, really to achieving the championship success and being the leader of the team and that he has, he's inarguably one of the greatest players of all time.
He's definitely revolutionized the sport. I mean, with the 3-point shooting, to your point. I mean, when he's a weapon from half court in, as soon as he crosses half court, he becomes a weapon. Because I remember that game against OKC when KD and Westbrook were playing. It was on, I think it was ESPN or ABC. To tie the game and send to overtime, dude dribbled over half court, just shot the ball, just perfect form, and just goes right in. Nothing but that. The crowd was like, oh. You feel the gas because it was Oklahoma City, right? So the cat just feel the crowd go, ah, like that. And the Golden State took it in overtime. But he definitely revolutionized the game. Definitely made small ball cool, right? Because people think about, and I'll talk more about it later, Isaiah Thomas being barely over 6 feet tall, dominating when he was playing, amongst during the era of Magic and Bird and Dr. J. So, I mean, but so props to him, so props to Steph Curry and revolutionizing the sport and making it cool for 3-point shooting and long distance shooting instead of just dunks, right? So Joe, so what about you, man? How do you think it affected Steph's legacy, if it ever did?
Everything that Kevin said was spot on. Like I personally already thought he was one of, if not the best point guard of all time. You can make arguments. There for a time, I thought he was more of a 2 guard. And I think if I had to place him in a lineup that had, I don't know, maybe a more natural facilitator on it, which Curry's a good facilitator too, but I think I might move him down to the 2, but he just can do everything, including play defense. I mean, it's not what you would call great defense, but it is he's strong and he's stout as opposed to what he was when he first came out of Davidson. And it's passable and he tries. He moves his feet. So he does. What does he not do well? On top of just running all over the court and the gravity he creates for his teammates, I don't think there's ever been a player that just demands as much attention as he does in the NBA, Michael Jordan and LeBron James included.
Sure.
And I have no problem saying he challenges LeBron for the best player of this era. I'm not saying just out of pure talent wise, I'm saying just impact on the game and everything like that. When you look at the entirety of it, you could say like Allen Iverson was the most impactful player of his generation. He was nowhere near the best player of them, but that's kind of where I think Curry is.
You know what, man? It's like this creates good barbershop talk, right? As far as rankings and Mount Rushmores and all that crap. But again, I think to echo, I agree with both of y'all. I think that this only solidifies Steph Curry's place amongst the greatest. I thought that he was already up there as he revolutionized the sport. But I'll say this may rankle at least one of you guys when I say this, because I'm a little bit older than you guys. I remember some of these other guys I'm about to name who played in that heyday. I think like my GOAT, and I'm not a Lakers fan. I hate the Lakers, being a Knicks fan. But my GOAT is Magic Johnson, right? Not only just GOAT period, but obviously the best point guard. Because how he did it as a 6'9" point guard in 1979, when dudes 6'1", 6'2" were points. Were point guards like I don't know if you guys watch Wintertime on HBO, but that's those scenes with Norm Nixon when Magic was being drafted, how it was like, he can't play point over me, And Norm Nixon was a damn good player himself. People don't realize that or don't remember that. But the point being is that Magic made it cool because before Magic, the biggest point guard was Oscar Robertson. He was 6'5". So, I mean, well, he is the 6'5", 6'5". He's still alive. But the point is that he was considered a big guard back in the 60s and 70s. And here comes Magic 6'9", backing you down, not only backing you down, but hitting with the pinpoint, no little passes and stuff. And of course, Showtime came from that. Showtime Lakers. So, and also one last thing, like I like to throw at LeBron fans especially, and Jordan fans more like. Magic Johnson is the only cat to come in as a rookie, lead a team to the NBA Finals, play the 5 position in place of the injured Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who was still in his prime at that point. And not only do that, not only help win the finals, but also win finals MVP as a rookie. The only rookie to have done that. That's why Magic Johnson is my GOAT. But meanwhile, I'll say this. So Magic Johnson always going to argue that he's better, that Steph Curry is not better than Magic Johnson. The argument comes with my number 2 as point guard. And that's John Stockton. People don't remember how great John Stockton was. He was a true point guard who could shoot if needed be, if he called upon him to shoot. And yes, I know he ran the pick and roll with Karl Malone to perfection, but people clown that. But hey, as much as people clowned it, no one could stop it. You knew the pick and roll was coming, but there was not a damn thing you could do to stop it. I mean, Stockton to Malone, right? And plus, he averaged, I think, for his career, over 10 assists a game. I don't have the stats in front of me, but and plus, you know, he leads. He's by far he set the record, he broke Magic's record for assists, and I don't think he's about to catch it because he broke it by a lot. So I don't know who's going to catch that. I don't know if anyone's going to play long enough to catch that, but I doubt it. So again, that may be controversial, but I think that my top 3 point guards are Magic, John Stockton, and I barely edged out Isaiah Thomas down to 4. And I mean barely moved him down to 4. So that's just how I think about that. But
You're just too old.
Did you say what you say that?
You're just too old.
I'm old. I remember I saw these guys play in the primes. I can't help it. I'm sorry. I saw these guys play, man. I mean, I got a higher bar.
I love the John Stockton appreciation because I think a lot of folks on Twitter see a picture of a guy that looks like, I don't know, a doctor or car salesman and
yes,
shorts, and they're like, "Oh man, this guy sucks." Like, but then my rebuttal to that is always Gary Payton, saying that John Stockton was harder for him to guard than Michael Jordan, and then that triggers people. They're like, "Well, Gary Payton's an idiot," and I'm like, "No, Gary, he was probably more annoying.
He's the glove."
He was more annoying for Gary Payton to guard. It's not that he was better. Michael Jordan was obviously better. That's not what you have to understand the context of what he's saying.
But, plus, they're 2 point guards. Michael Jordan's not a point guard.
Right. So, right.
There you go. So, hey, I know I'm old, but again, at least I edged Stephen Curry over Isaiah Thomas. Even that was hard for me. I'll be honest. That was very hard for me to do. Because again, I watched these guys in their primes. I'm 40-something years old. I can't help it. But again, the coolest thing about that though is Steph's not done. He's nowhere close to being done. He's in great shape. He reinvented himself after he overcame those ankle injuries early in his career. He has a great handle, right? Outstanding handle. And of course, we all know that he can shoot the lights out of any gym. So I don't think, could he get above Stockton if he plays long enough? Maybe. I just think that as a pure point, because Steph Curry is a 2 masqueraded as a point, right? So, yeah.
And I don't want to derail your show, Blast. This is your show, and but talking legacy, just for legacy comparison, if Michael Jordan had pulled a Kevin Durant in the late '80s and joined up with Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars, and Isaiah Thomas had gotten 2 more rings with Michael Jordan, does that change how history views Isaiah Thomas in comparison to how history currently views Isaiah Thomas?
I mean, I'm old school. That's a very good question. And I'm old school as old school can get. But damn. To me, that's like joining the enemy, sleeping with the enemy. Because remember, not only the Pistons and Bulls hated each other, Isaiah and Michael Jordan still hate each other to this day. So it's like you're joining, it's not as bad, but it's almost like Kevin Durant joining the Warriors. You had him down 3-1, you couldn't finish him off, but there was no animus. There wasn't no bad blood between both parties like it would have been between Michael Jordan and plus, how would that work too? Just it's too bad that Twitter wasn't around back then, because just to be a fly on the wall in those locker rooms, Jordan, not only Jordan with Dumars, I don't think he and Dumars had beef, or Dennis Rodman or Lambeer, maybe Lambeer, but him and Isaiah Thomas and Lambeer in the same locker room. I don't know how that would have worked out. Would have been fun to watch though, but it's crazy. It's crazy. All right, so talked about Stephen Curry. I just wanted to just say some things about Boston. I hate the Celtics. Y'all know that. But I'm happy about the job that Emil Udoka did as a first-year head coach. I think those guys are. We said it before the show. There's two stars are still young. I mean, Jason Tatum is only 24 years old. Jaylen Brown's only 25. They're entering their primes right now. It's just that I don't know. I don't know, Jared, how this could be done next year in a much tougher Eastern Conference. But I mean, I think it's too premature to throw out the baby with the bathwater and say that Boston blew a chance to get back, because you never know. But at least one could say that Boston was ahead of schedule this year. I mean, who had Boston in the finals ahead of Milwaukee? I had Milwaukee in the finals. So
yeah, you're right. I think they're ahead of schedule. I mean, you look at it, and while Tatum seems like he's been in the league forever, I mean, he's still 24 years old. Brown's
right.
25 years old, and you come into the league, you got to lose to win. Kind of, you have to,
Right.
you have to, take your licks. Most players do take their licks. There are the exceptions, but they're not the rule. To me, Boston didn't squander anything away. They just were ahead of schedule. They caught teams that were injured. I mean, the Middleton injury against Milwaukee
Yes.
was big,
Yes, it
and
was.
Brooklyn was really just kind of Brooklyn. Miami, Jimmy Butler was hurt, and Kyle Lowry wasn't playing right. So they, like every team, there can be asterisks here and there. They did a good job getting there. I thought their rotation was a little too short early in the playoffs or going into the playoffs, and they managed to get themselves to the finals, which, if you're going to be ahead of schedule, your two co-stars, your two best players, are 24 and 25. I think you're probably doing something right there. So I would look for Boston to be competing, and I mean, you could look for Boston to be competing for the next 4, 5, 6 years, depending on what happens with Tatum and his max contract. And after his rookie scale max goes through, then maybe they can sign him as a super max player if he qualifies. So could be anything like that. It just, we'll see. But I think you're going to hear about the Boston Celtics for the next 4 or 5 years.
And unfortunately, you're probably going to be right about that. They're still young and they're well coached, and they got a great organization. I mean, the previous coach moved to the front office. He made the right moves. I mean, bringing Al Horford back to Boston. So, yeah, I mean, it's sad to hear as a Knicks fan, but you're probably right about that. How about you, Kevin?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Stevens' role in the front office. Horford was a big one. Derek White was another one that he brought in.
Yes, that's a huge pickup.
I think, on your pre-final show, I talked about, Boston having a lot of guys who could shoot, and and I was encouraged by that. Just looking at shooting percentages, looking at averages from behind the arc, and for me, in spite of the fact that I said that a couple of weeks ago, I look at it now, and having watched them in the finals, and yes, Brown can shoot, Tatum can shoot, Smart can shoot, Horford's a good shooter, but I think really what the team is missing is really just a marksman, just one guy that unfortunately maybe that was Kyrie, and maybe that was kind of in part the role he would have played had he had that worked out. But because I'm gonna just keep showing love to players that I don't particularly like, to say that Draymond Green is so much smarter than me when it comes to basketball. After when he got to the podium and I'm watching the press conference, and he said, they hit 23s tonight, and he said, Derek White and Al Horford and Marcus Smart, I think hit 15 of them. And he said, yeah, I'm good. Or, like, and I was like, whoa, man. Pride.
That's the game one. Yeah, I remember that.
Pride comes before the fall, dude. Like, you don't know who you're talking about. These guys have been shooting all playoffs. And, we talked about them starting to fall apart in game 4, losing the lead in game 4. And then who are those guys that are missing key shots? It's Horford, it's Smart, it's Derek White. And I'm like, man, Draymond Green, dude, you suck, dude. Like, you were right. You were right. Like, everything you said was right. Like, it came to fruition. And so I do think that as spread out as they have a lot of guys with spread out skill sets. And I'll make it quick and just say, I think they need to add one more just really good shooter to that lineup, I think, to get back to where they want to be.
Yeah. Jared, I know you want to get in there right quick, so I know you had something to say about that.
Yeah, I respectfully disagree on the player that they need. I think they need a guy that's the biggest problem I had with Jason Tatum in this entire series is the way he performed in the fourth quarter in the last 3 games. He was almost non-existent. Right. And when you're watching Golden State, who has, of course, they've got a championship pedigree. They've been there before. They've done that before. More than any team in the last 20 years. They know what it is to play in the championship, and you watch them systematically go on, 10-0 runs, 12-2 runs, things like that. I think what Boston needs is a player that can just say, give me the ball. We're stopping this run right now. And that might become Jason Tatum, but that's what I think they're missing more than anything, is somebody that's just going to take the ball and say, they're on a 10-2 run. No, we're going to shut that shit down right now.
Right. And you know what, to add on to that, excuse me, I would get a true point, because in addition to stopping that bleeding, the bleeding also came from them turning over the ball so damn much. I mean, if you can't have your best player turn over the ball 5 times, right? Especially in games 5 and 6. And let's face it, game 4 they blew because they couldn't take care of the ball late. They gagged. I mean, you hate to say that someone choked or a team choked, but it's like the pressure got to Boston, and they don't have a true bona fide ball handler. Because look, I love Marcus Smart, right? I love his toughness. He can play defense. He doesn't shrink for the moment, but he's not a point guard. He's not a true point guard. He made mistakes down the stretch. Also, I mentioned Tatum and Jaylen Brown. I mean, those are wing players. They're scorers. They're not playmakers. There's a big, big difference. They're not using the additional rock. So of course they when the pressure came up, when the pressure ratcheted up, they kind of gagged all of themselves. So to Jared's point, they need one of those 2 young men to become an alpha, a true alpha, and say, look, it's going to be on my shoulders. We're going to quote you, Jared, to steal your quote, we're going to shut the shit down now. We're going to stop the bleeding right now. That's what the greats did. That's what Kobe did. That's what Jordan did. That's what Magic did. That's what I'm older again, so I can say that. That's what Dr. J did. Patrick Ewing did the same thing. Hey, we're going to stop this run. Just get the ball down low to me. I'll post up on the block. Give you a quick bucket. So I think I think both of them could be that guy. It doesn't hurt to have 2 guys to be that guy. Just have an organized chemistry. We have to come over time, but one of those 2 young men have to be that guy. Again, I think it'll have to be Tatum. And if it ends up being Brown, hey, that's cool too. But one of those young men, if not both, have to be that guy, and they need a point guard to help them down the stretch. But to Jared's point, again, Boston's gonna be fine. It's just the Eastern Conference is a lot tougher because we mentioned Milwaukee without Middleton. They get Middleton back, and you pretty much know that Milwaukee has to be a little pissed off, because they can tell you, the rest of us, that hey, if we had a healthy Middleton, we beat the Celtics. And they're right. They're probably going to be right about that, right? And Miami, if I think something has happened going on with Jimmy Butler's health in games 4 and 5 before he exploded in game 6 and almost stole the series in game 7 with that last second three-point shot, which I still think to this day was the right shot to take. Boston was reeling, and he played every minute of the game, if I'm not mistaken. Hit that 3, ball game, go home, rest up. That was the right shot to take. But at any rate, I think between those two and Philadelphia, they can figure out James Harden and Joel Embiid's chemistry. Not to say that's bad chemistry, but just they have a full training camp together. I think they'll be better. Depending on what goes on in free agency with Zach LaVine, I think Chicago's got that taste. I think they'll be a bit better with experience, especially with a healthy Lonzo Ball. I think your Cavaliers, Kevin, were way ahead of schedule. Way ahead of schedule. I think with help, because Ricky Rubio got hurt, that's what really messed y'all up because that took away your true point guard. I think y'all would be better. I think Charlotte would be better. So the East is going to be a beast, like it was when I was watching the NBA in the 80s and 90s. So, but I think Boston will be fine. They're not going anywhere, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough and fun to watch too, but it's going to be very tough. We'll get y'all out and close this podcast on this question. We kind of teased it earlier. Jared, you teased it earlier for regards to the Brooklyn Nets. That's Kyrie Irving. Now, depending on what report you read, Brooklyn is tired of his bleep, and Kyrie wants to supermax, which he's entitled to. He's a player. I can't blame him for that. But I think Brooklyn would be nuts to give him the full max as far as 5 years. If they give him 3 years, that's cool. So they wouldn't be sad because let's face it, Kyrie is so mercurial. He takes 2 weeks off and just don't tell anybody to the very last minute. So, okay, I need a mental health break. I'm taking 2 weeks. It's stuff like that. I think the likely scenario is I think that Kyrie would probably want to be moved. But I think it's all depends upon one of the very important person. That's Kevin Durant. If he's tired of his shit the way James Harden was tired of it, bye-bye, Kyrie. Something is to it. And just do a sign and trade, get some assets, and go from there. So we'll just close the shout out on this. Kevin, do you see, if you look at the crystal ball right now, do you see at the beginning of training camp, training camp, do you see Kyrie Irving as a member of the Nets? And if not, who do you think is going to go to?
I don't know. We were talking before the show. I'm a big hoops hype NBA rumors nerd. Most people follow it on Twitter. I do that too, but I'm always on that site because they puts all the tweets on there, rumors for the latest rumors of the day in the NBA. But and so yeah, I've seen those reports, and I've seen certain teams that that are interested. If the Nets are to decide they want to part, I don't know. It's so hard though, because I think if they do, and if there's so many ifs that with this, if Ben Simmons is going to come back, ready after this summer, day one, and be himself ready to play, be himself, ready to get past his own demons and get on the court, and you have a facilitator for the offense in him. If you so choose to, move on from Kyrie and whatever that would look like, whatever you could get back in a Kyrie deal. But it would also be admitting major failure on, a Nets plan that really was centered around KD and Kyrie just 2 years ago.
Right.
And they were going to be bringing championships to Brooklyn, back to New York, and for so many reasons they haven't been on the court a lot together, and in a lot of ways that was foreseeable.
Right.
It's hard for me to think that there's going to be a situation that is attractive enough for Brooklyn to admit already that they were wrong and wash their hands of one other soap opera. They've already done it once with Harden, though, so they've proven that they are willing to do it, because they gave up a lot to get Harden, and
yes, they did.
And they were willing to move on from that. But if I had to bet right now, I think I would be conservative and say he's probably still a net to start next season, just because I'm not sure what could be attractive enough. Like, and that's really what it is. Like, it's mathematically, am I weighing how fed up are they with him,
right,
versus they're wanting to get something in return, and getting something that they feel like is fair value, or are they just so fed up that they're ready to concede in some ways of what they might get in return. And but yeah, short answer, I think conservatively, I think Kyrie will be a member of the Nets to start next season. I'm wrong all the time, though. So
we all wrong all the time. I've been wrong about other crazy stuff. But Jared, what say you, brother?
I pretty much agree with Kevin, but I'll do a fun one here. Can I interest you in Davis Bertans and salary filler and Spencer Dinwiddie and whatever draft picks possible to get him to Dallas?
Kyrie and Luka and Dallas, that would be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. It just sounds like something that would be on Dallas's radar.
And Max,
we're just gonna pick up talent at all costs. It don't matter where it is, and we'll fit it in later.
Chemistry be damned. I mean, Mark Cuban. That sounds like a Mark Cuban move, though.
Right?
Yeah, that sounds like a Mark Cuban move, but that would be funny as hell if that happened. Because again, we're in the Twitter world and hot takes world. So to see the likes of Skip Bayless blowing his gasket over that, First Take, Stephen A. being even louder, if that's possible, over that, and hearing Kendra Perkins be wrong about that'd be funny of itself. But we could only dare to dream. If something that fun happened, really happened, that would be funny to watch. But who says that fun stuff has to happen, right?
Hey, I feel obligated to get it in. The Lakers are one of the teams interested, so
yeah.
As a Cavs fan, I'd be like, dude, you destroyed everything we had just to play nice, so many years later. Come on, man.
Well, the thing is, if the Lakers find a way to unload another problem, that's Westbrook, then maybe, yeah. But then again, if you're the Nets, do you want Westbrook to be back with Kevin Durant? And if you want Kevin Durant to leave town, bring his ass back to Brooklyn with Kevin Durant. Then that y'all just don't want to blow up your future. So that's it. If they don't want Kevin Durant, make that trade to Kyrie for Westbrook straight up. And you will see what happens. Talk about being fun to watch and funny to watch. That would be hilarious. Hilarious. But anyway, all right, man. Let's close the show. We had too much fun. Thank y'all for tuning in to the nice podcast. Thank you to my guests, Kevin McCune, Jared Singleton. Kevin, right quick, where can I find you on Twitter?
Oh, it's just at Kevin McCune. So just KevinMccune.
All right, cool. And Jared? Is he still there?
Singleton J21 at Ymail, or Singleton J21. That's all it is.
About to give his email address. But anyway, thanks again for tuning in. Please get the merch at cafepress.com. Search for Klown Times Sports. Check out my sports blog at clowntimes.net. And also, one last thing, please continue to like, comment, share, and subscribe. You'll be glad you did, and I'll be glad you did. So until next time, enjoy the rest of this week. Peace out.